It is very important, it's structurally important. Investors have come back in anticipation of this change of government. The stock market is up nearly 50% since the beginning of the year. Yields in the 10 years are just above 2% at about a 2.2, 2.18. They were only 2.5 a couple of weeks ago. So there has been a clear positive sentiment towards a change of government, back away from the populist to a more conservative structure. And I think this is very well merited and very optimistic. My issue is that markets should be aware and not complacent, because it will be a tough job. There are some low-hanging fruit for Mitsotakis to win through, but still there's going to be some structural changes in terms of dealing with bureaucracy, regulation. It will take time, and Syriza will be there and as an opposition party, so one needs to be aware of that.
If we just pick through Mitsotakis' campaign pledges, he promised to slash some of the bailout taxes, reform the bureaucracy in Greece, facilitate bank loans to businesses, and effectively one of the big measures, I think, is trying to just bring more capital back into Greece. And we saw that flight of capital, I think, right back in 2015 when money just fled the country. Do you think that we can see stronger growth rates? Because the measures now suggest that you could see growth around 4% if he is successful in achieving some of these measures.
There will need to be some tough negotiations with the Europeans. And the great thing about Mitsotakis is that he's got a clear majority. And with that majority, uniting the party behind him and being able to renegotiate some terms with the Europeans, having put Greece on a more solid footing, will be the key determinant over the next 6 months. It'll be difficult to pass through all of those measures, but picking off some low-hanging fruit, and with these renegotiating some of the terms, easing some of the criteria, may help Greece to sort of push beyond that sort of 2% growth cap, which investors, myself included, foresee.
And yet, Alexis Tsipras, good morning to you, wasn't as bad as the Europeans feared. They feared all kinds of things back in 2014, early 2015 as well, when the man who was one of the first big populists in Europe, actually, to get into power, came into power. So, I mean, and he stuck to the primary surplus and stuck to the European rules. So, I mean, is there so much that Mr. Mitsotakis can do and will be able to push through domestically that actually Alexis Tsipras hasn't done? The reason I mention this is because everyone comes in talking about we're going to slash bureaucracy, improve the taxation regime, we're going to stop the corruption, we're going to stop the non-payment of taxes. But actually many politicians beforehand, including, dare I say it, family members of Mr. Mitsotakis, have failed to do so.
I think the key question over the next few weeks is, will Tsipras resign or not? I do not think he will resign from leader of the opposition or head of Syriza, and as a result he will maintain a unified opposition front. And I think that he's in a position there where he can excel in terms of unifying the party, unifying the trade unions, and trying to make it difficult for Mitsotakis to take through those reforms. However, the majority in Greece, the majority he will have within Parliament, and secondly, the resentment of the Greek population against the austerity will try to help him through, and I hope that he will be able to capture those low-hanging fruits and change the sentiment, because the FDI sentiment, which Karen was alluding to, is going to be critical. Once we see some fresh FDIs coming to the country, immediately he'll have more leverage with which to negotiate.